Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here again talking about bunnies. Many bunnies. Slate's in there. He's not supposed to be out today. He escaped. Gwen's up here. She's not a rabbit, but sometimes it's not a rabbit. And Loki, right now, she's supposed to have her day out, but she's actually down in that hole she dug. It's kind of crazy. She's nuts. So we're just, going with that. But today I wanted to talk about choosing your rabbits because I'm dropping my stick. But choosing your rabbits can be a little bit trying for some people. Hello, Slate. Mr. Slate, with your cat friends. Yeah. So rabbits are definitely not rodents, by the way. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Animals are classed according to their habits and traits, and rabbits share very little in common with mice and rats. They really don't. But they do share common traits with hares and pikas, and they are part of the order Lagomorpha. Rabbits are lagomorphs, not rodents. They're not rodents. So there are only 3 members of the order Lagomorpha. Rabbits, hares, pika. That's it. They don't have anything. They're not related to anyone else. It's just them. Just the 3 of them. Slate's over there, making a mess. Doing rabbit things. Oh, Loki came out of her hole. Hey, Loki, baby. You're spending all day in your hole. I know, you like your hole. Anyway, so there are only 3 in the Lagomorpha family. Rabbits, hares, pikas. That's it. Of the 3, only rabbits make decent pets. The rest, the hares and the pikas, they should be left in the wild. Don't have a pet hare. It doesn't work very well most of the time. These cats are getting fat. That's good. They're doing well in the winter. Anyway, hares and rabbits are often confused with one another, and not just because they appear similar. We as humans actually really suck at naming things, because here's what we do. Belgian hares are rabbits. We call them Belgian hares, but they're rabbits. I know, that's horrible, and we shouldn't do that. Loki, I think, went back in her hole. Yeah, she did. Okay, so Belgian hares are rabbits. Yeah, we suck. Oh no, she's in her house. She's back in her house. So Belgian hares are rabbits. Okay, fine. Jackrabbits are hares. I know. Jackrabbits make terrible pets because they're hares. Don't try to make a pet of a jackrabbit. They're really bad at it. I tried to tame one when I was young. Bad decision. Bad choice. That's what I tell myself. Bad choice. Don't do that. So anyway, the point is, rabbits and hares are not the same. We're just bad at naming things. Hares can't really be pets. Yeah, there's the occasional person who has tamed a hare or has hares, but they're not really good pets. And they're not like our... wild rabbits are also not good pets. Okay? They're not like our domestic rabbits at all. Think of them like second cousins. Maybe second cousins once removed. Something like that. Especially if you're in North America. Because the rabbits we think of as pets... Cat. So the rabbits we think of as pets are actually descended from the European wild rabbit. Okay? They're not at all... Yeah, these 2 are running around together. It was an accident. It's okay. We're not worried about it. Slate's not in the mood. Someone's going to point that out, that I got a girl and a boy both on the loose at the same time. Slate let himself on the loose, but he's not interested in girls right now. He's just not. It's the wrong time of year for him. He's pretty laid back. Anyway, so our rabbits that we use as pets, like these guys, like Loki here, are descended from the European rabbits. They like to live in large families. They like to dig elaborate warrens underground. They'll use these warrens to escape predators. They'll even raise their rabbits down in their warrens to keep them safe. Okay? I just want to point out something that a lot of people don't know. A group of rabbits that live together as a family is called a fluffle. It's an utterly adorable term that I absolutely adore. So the group of bunnies you're planning to get, that's a fluffle. If you haven't heard the term, it might be because it's more common in Canada than anywhere else. but it's adorable. It's an official term, and I'm using it forever. This bunny and that bunny in there and that one over there, they're a fluffle. It's funny. It's funny. We're calling them a fluffle. Forever. They will forever be known as fluffles. There's a cat in here. You're not a rabbit. Just a cat. Whatever. They don't know who's who. So, anyway, North American wild rabbits, such as the cottontail, are not at all like the European rabbits our rabbits are descended from. They're simply not. They live entirely different lives. So the cottontail, for example, they're not really big on groups. They don't love big groups. They simply don't. You're not going to find cottontails, for example, hanging out in large groups over a long period of time. You're just not going to. They don't live in warrens. They live above ground. So it's funny to think that, but your cottontails don't typically dig dens. They live above ground. They also have their babies above ground. They find a depression in the ground, a little hole, and then they have their babies in that. They simply do not... You're too fat to fit through there easily. We had a cat almost get stuck in chain link there. That would have been funny. Anyway, that's not the point. So cottontails will have their babies in a hole in the ground. They'll literally find a spot. So for example, under that bush over there, there's a little depression. A wild rabbit had babies in there. It was kind of funny. But our rabbits like to have babies inside a hutch or something so they can pretend like they have a little warren. It's very, very different. Okay? I know cottontails make a bad decision and a lot of the times when they have their babies, but that's what they do. They live such different lives and are such different animals, it's important not to try to take wild rabbits and make them a pet. Big yawn. They're not suited for it. If you want rabbits for your hobby farm, stick with domesticated rabbits. It's also important that you never release a domesticated rabbit into the wild. Just because they kind of look like the bunnies hopping around your front yard, doesn't mean they are your bunnies that are hopping around in the front yard. These guys cannot survive in the wild. Okay? If you were to release Loki into the wild, she would die. She would have absolutely no idea how to survive. So please do not release rabbits into the wild under any circumstances. Okay? They can't do it. They're not gonna do it. They shouldn't do it. Don't do it. Very important. With that said, now that we know you're definitely going to get yourself a domesticated rabbit and not, for any reason, a wild rabbit, you're not going to do that. Not at all. You're probably going to get more than one as well. So you're probably going to get more than one domesticated rabbit. You're going to have to start thinking about what breeds interest you. Most breeds can live either inside or outside. Okay, most of them can. There are pros and cons to each, and they do require a slightly different setup. So indoors requires more cleaning to keep things from smelling. For example, my girl Gemini, who you saw in my last rabbit video, she is in the house all of the time, and yeah, I gotta clean her litter box twice a week, every week. These guys, you just scoop out their pens. Why are you in Loki's house? You crazy rabbit. That's not your house. Yeah, he doesn't care. You don't fit in her hole, by the way. You're too fat. You are fat. You don't fit down there. So anyway, indoors you have more cleaning to keep things from stinking. Outdoors you have to think about protection from the weather. You just do, especially if you live where I do in the colder climates. You can have your rabbits in a true rabbitry if you want. You can have rabbit-specific enclosures where rabbits live, or you can keep them in smaller hutches. Most rabbits require the same basic care and housing anywhere, so type and breed isn't a determining factor. So don't worry that your chosen breed isn't going to fit in what you bought or built. Now, obviously, you can't keep a Flemish Giant in the same thing you would keep a Holland Lop or a Netherland Dwarf in. Not going to happen because of the size, unless you built something very, very, very big. Nobody's in here right now. I had somebody ask. No, we sold him. We sold the Flemish. We're not sure we're doing Flemishes, so we found him a better home where he would have more love, because we're not sure we're doing Flemishes. So that's why there's no footprints in here. Somebody had asked me last time we were walking around why there's no footprints in this side, why it's not pounded down. It's because we sold the Flemish. Sorry, we sold the Flemish. It's just the way it is. We just didn't think we could give them an appropriate home. We didn't think we'd love them enough. So, you know, we found them a better home. Anyway, so don't worry that your chosen breed won't be able to live in the enclosure you've chosen. They're pretty adaptable. An appropriate enclosure for a Rex is probably an appropriate enclosure for an Angora. And an appropriate enclosure for an Angora is probably fine for a New Zealander. See, these guys aren't actually doing anything. They're just hanging. Yeah, Slate is not interested in breeding at this time of year, so we're actually pretty lucky. He's not supposed to be out anyway, but feel free to tell him. Anyway, so your only consideration is if you have a really, really giant rabbit breed versus a really tiny rabbit breed. You can't necessarily swap housing for them because it might be too small. You know, something built for a dwarf rabbit may not fit a Flemish. Snow time. Slate's eating snow. Anyway, on the whole, you do not have to change your housing plans according to the breed you're picking. You're going to go in that hole. You're a cat. Stay out of the hole. You are a cat. There's not enough room for you to turn around anyway. Anyway, my cats are nuts. I have 3 of them over there, 2 of them over there. I don't know where Winter is. Doesn't matter. But we're not going to talk about housing right now. We're just talking about choosing your rabbits. So this video is already getting to the 12-minute mark, and because I keep getting distracted by nutty things that are happening around here. So I'm going to go on to talk about choosing your rabbit a little bit more, but just know that you have to get a domestic breed. No wild ones. And you have to house them appropriately, which we'll talk about later. But the housing needs and the feed needs are pretty transferable from one to the other. Okay, unless you're talking about major size differences. And these guys are just chilling. Yeah, they're just chilling. So we are going to go back inside. It's not cold today, but now the wind's picking up. So I try to film when it's not windy so my fingers don't freeze. So we hope we see you tomorrow.